Hey everyone, here's week 2 of the Jesse Smith method. Welcome back to those that viewed the video last week, and to those that are new, I'll provide a quick background to what I'm doing. I'm creating a fundraiser and video series for my best friend Jesse Smith. For those who didn't know Jesse, he tragically died by suicide roughly 3.5 years ago. For more detail into the background of this video series, feel free to hop over to YouTube to check out my first video. You can also scroll down and get a good understanding from the description. You can go to my fundraiser page on NAMI, you can go to Facebook, you can go to Instagram. Thank you so much for those who already donated. We're closing in on 10% of the way, which is crazy to me. As I mentioned, please feel free to share any stories, pictures, videos on this form submission here of Jesse if you'd like to share. Definitely want to get some more pictures and any more stories that people would like to include in my video series. Definitely happy to talk over the phone or feel free to DM me. Next, I'm going to dive back into the challenge itself and then into the workout and stories. We also have a song created by some of Jesse's best friends, Alex and Craig, so definitely stick around or feel free to skim through. The feedback and positivity and all the love has been so amazing so far, so really, really thank you, and hope you enjoy the video. All right, super quick overview of the Jesse Smith method here. It's a little bit faster paced than it was last week. The workout itself is going to be 100 pull-ups, 250 push-ups, 250 sit-ups, 200 dips, 200 squats over 10 sessions, minus a couple reps, which will equal 9,814 total reps, which equals the total days that Jesse lived on this beautiful green earth. So we're going to hop into it. We got stories coming up from Alex and Craig, and then a song here at the end. This story comes from a soon-to-be brother-in-law, a wonderful friend, and a great addition to the Chapman family, Alex Makkawy. I first met Jesse, Commander Cool Smith, on a cool autumn night back in 2014. I was newly sober and really struggling at the time. I had begrudgingly attended a sober bonfire that evening with a friend of mine who had dragged me with him in an effort to get me to socialize. I had just come back into recovery a few months prior after a long relapse that had taken a significant toll on my physical, emotional, and mental well-being. I remember feeling disconnected and socially cut off at that time in my life. My friend and I were offered a ride to the train by another attendee of the bonfire. As we were loading into the back seat, I heard a booming voice call out for a ride. A jovial, bearded, ball cap wearing guy in a flannel shirt pretty much invited himself into the back seat of the vehicle next to me. "Howdy, I'm Jesse," he exclaimed, giving me a vigorously charged slap on the back. I don't remember much from that night clearly, but I remember Jesse. I remember his boisterous and contagious laughter, how he shamelessly and humorously recounted at times gratuitously inappropriate stories from his past. I remember my anxiety and mental fog clearing, and the fun of just being present in that moment. I didn't see him again for at least a year, but I remembered him. When I next encountered Jesse, I was at an AA meeting nearly a year later. I was still sober, and I immediately recognized him by face and name, as he had left an impression on me at our first meeting. He was just returning to recovery from a relapse that night, similarly to how I was a year prior. I greeted him and invited him to hang out that evening. Little did I know how instantaneously our friendship would take off. For the better part of the following 2 years, Jesse and I were virtually inseparable. In him, I truly had found a kindred spirit. Rarely have I met someone whose presence was more immediately impactful in my life than Jesse. His impact touches all of the most important parts of my life to this day. He introduced me to my now fiancée Natalie. All the joy I had experienced as a result of that relationship was a gift he gave to me. He was someone I could laugh, cry, or yell around without feeling self-conscious. He brought out the best parts of me and made me learn how to be a better friend, a freer spirit, and a more compassionate person. Jesse was a bold, brash, brave, and boisterously beautiful spirit, and he brought these qualities to the surface in those who were lucky enough to get to be his friend. I spoke with Jesse on the phone 1 hour before he died. He had been struggling with mental health for some time before that, and I was in his close contact, checking in with him daily and going over to his house, never 100% sure which Jesse I was going to see that day. I remember that phone call. He sounded good. He was laughing with me in the way that only Jesse can. The memory of that conversation used to make me sad, as it held such a stark contrast with what the next hour would bring. Today I'm grateful for that memory. I'm grateful I got to hear my friend laugh in that contagious way one more time on Earth. I miss Jesse every day, and I carry on his memory with me everywhere I go until I see him again at the end of this life of mine that he helped fill with so many blessings. Love you, buddy. Man, Alex, thank you so much for this story. This story was beautiful. Just so many aspects of it I absolutely loved. So thank you again for sharing this. Just like all these stories so far, they've all made me cry, all for different reasons. And this one just had so many different aspects of Jesse. I think one of them that really stuck out to me was Jesse's ability to help you be in the moment and feel present, helping you forget about the day's worry and truly just enjoy each other's company. Jesse was the best at that. Thanks again for sharing, Alex. This next story comes from one of Jesse's very close friends, Craig Fader. I have a lot of good memories of Jesse. I think there's one in particular I'd like to share, but I'll start with a short one first. The story starts out in the woods. We ended up going on this long hike with myself, Natalie, Alex, James, Jesse, and my wife Anna. Further along in the hike, Anna and I had made the mistake of following Jesse for the majority of the hike, and he led us to a large path of prickly bushes. I'm not sure how Jesse got through all of them, and I'm not sure how we did as well, but my coat was torn to hell, and it was a painful experience. Afterwards, we enjoyed a nice meal at Super Dog, and I remember Jesse having a big, nice hot fudge sundae. The greatest story of Jesse, I think, was the time when we went to a wrestling match with my brother in law. It was one of the big events. It was Monday Night Raw or Saturday Night SmackDown, something like that. And Jesse was super excited to go. And then he almost didn't go, and then we did go. And Jesse and I were enjoying it, but him and I, we don't really drink, and everyone there was incredibly messed up. And my brother-in-law was enjoying the event and is obsessed with wrestling. And Jesse and I enjoyed some of it, but we left and walked around a little bit while my brother stayed back and enjoyed the show. It was fun walking around with Jesse. And then we came back, we saw The Undertaker do some crazy body slam, which was pretty awesome, and Jesse thought it was epic. And after the show, we decided that we would go to Culver's for a treat. Now, this is really the main part of the story. Jesse was a cunning man, and I'm a master of free stuff, don't get me wrong. I'm really good at getting free stuff. But Jesse was the Mozart of getting free stuff. So we arrive at Culver's, and I know this hack with coupons you can get from Culver's. If you buy a Culver's kids meal, you always ask them to give you the ice cream right there. And sometimes they don't take the coupons for the ice cream. So you can get away with getting a free ice cream and then using that coupon at another point of time. So I had several of these coupons. And I give a couple to Jesse, and we go to order, and we ask for our ice cream immediately. So the guy hands us our numbers and heads back to prepare our ice cream and comes back out with two ice creams. And Jesse said to the guy, "If I keep my number, will you give me more?" And and I'm thinking to myself, like, Jesse, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing? Like, first off, what does that even mean? And I don't know, he must have like confused the guy or something because the guy came back and gave Jesse two free ice creams for the price of one free ice cream. And this wasn't just a one-time occurrence. He was the master of that. He somehow got 2 dozen donuts for the price of 1 dozen donuts at Dunkin' Donuts once. So he was definitely a cunning man. And the last thing that I'll say to my gratitude for Jesse, when Alex and I first started playing music, and Jesse would be there recording it on his phone. And when he'd send us the recording, he would always write the subject line something real short, and it would just be balls. That was the email for his subject line, balls. So that always gave me a good laugh and something I remember. Thanks so much, Craig, for sharing that story. That story, like, I had a hard time reading it. I had to do it a couple of times because that ice cream story just made me laugh so many times. It's such a classic story to Jesse's inability to get embarrassed. He would always do stuff like this, and he never felt the cringe that would come with it when he was having fun with people, or pushing them to potentially get free stuff. But he loved playing games with us with people in like the nicest way possible, and it was always a lot of fun, a little bit embarrassing and sometimes cringy, but always made for a really good story. So really appreciate you sharing, Craig.
Love you, Jesse.
Ash too.
There you go.
All right,
Buy more
go ahead.